All right, so we've got huge fight news coming for the one and only Islam Makhachev. Of course, the welterweight champion of the world, the greatest lightweight fighter of all time with 4 title defenses, and the pound-for-pound #1 fighter on the roster, in the planet, the best mixed martial artist that the world's got. Apparently, there's huge fight news coming up. Now, I did think, admittedly, that he was going to fight Machado Garry. Of course, there was all this talk about Ilia Topuria for a little while, and Ilia's been chasing that fight, and I thought they might even do it at the White House. Ilia versus Islam at the White House, that would have been incredible, but that ain't happening. I thought it was Machado Garry because Ian Garry said that if he ever fought Islam Makhachev, he would go and do his wrestling in Georgia, Tbilisi. And by the way, he's in Tbilisi, Georgia right now. Ian Garry posted a video at the airport showing destination or a boarding pass or something going to Georgia, and they can wrestle. And of course,
I will come to Georgia because Georgia has phenomenal wrestling, phenomenal judo, phenomenal sambo. And when you are trying to prepare for someone like Islam Makhachev, I'm going to need that.
That's where Murad Davalishvili is from. That is where Ilia Topuria is from. They do have great wrestling, and Ian Garry wouldn't go to Russia because good luck getting a Russian wrestling coach to help you beat Islam Makhachev. They are very patriotic people, and rightly so. That would not happen, but it doesn't matter because those assumptions were incorrect because that's not happening. This is the statement from his manager, Ali Abdelaziz from Dominance MMA, that manages a lot of the top fighters like Kamar Usman. It ain't going to be Usman either because Usman came out, by the way, last week and said he did speak to Hunter Campbell. He said no, and they actually offered him Dricus du Plessis.
DDP was presented to me.
Right, which is a very, very intriguing fight. Kamaru said he only wants fights right now that are going to mean something. I think a fight against Dricus du Plessis in the middleweight division, the former champion of the world, by the way, I think that would be a great fight for Kamaru Usman, and I think it would mean something. Of course, it wouldn't get him a title. But anyway, I digress. It isn't going to be Kamaru Usman, and it isn't going to be Ian Garry. Here is what Ali Abdelaziz said to get back on track. He said, I can tell you, the UFC are working on a big fight for Islam Makhachev, and Ian's name is not involved. It is much bigger. It's one of the biggest fights in UFC history right now that they can make. Stay tuned. Now, is he going to be at the White House? It's definitely not going to be Ian Garry because Ian Garry kind of came out and confirmed that tweet. Ian Garry said, I'm ready, but Islam, he needs more time. Imagine being the #1 pound-for-pound fighter on the planet and needing more time. Now, granted, if I'm Ian Garry, I'm saying the same thing. He's 17-1. The man's on a roll. Let's just look at his record real quick. Beat Belal Muhammad, former champion. Beat Carlos Prates. That has just been announced, by the way, taking on Jack Della Maddalena. May 2nd in Perth, Australia. I will be there. Of course I will be there. I fly all over the world, and I absolutely love it. So Carlos, it ain't going to be Carlos. It ain't going to be Jack Della Maddalena because Islam just beat him. And it isn't going to be Ian Garry. Well, we know it's not Kamaru Usman. So who the bloody hell is it going to be? Because it ain't going to be Ilia Topuria either. That's pretty much, it hasn't been confirmed, but that's going to be Justin Gaethje, right? Interim versus undisputed. That's the lay of the land. That's how it's supposed to go. And by all accounts, that's the fight that we're going to get at the White House. Now, when you look at the rankings, there's no one else that it can really be. Certainly can't be Shavkat Rakhmonov because the man's injured again, sadly for him. So he's out of the equation. And with what Ali Abdelaziz says, with it being something that no one could expect, let me just look at it again. It's much bigger. One of the biggest fights in UFC history right now that they can make. Stay tuned. I don't think that's going to be anyone from the welterweight division. I think it's going to be something unexpected. And by the way, it could be at the White House. End of June, that would fall in for Islam Makhachev, right? I know he's Russian, but I don't think there's any rule against having a Russian on at the White House. I just don't think they would want a Russian versus another Russian, and certainly not in the main event. I think it's going to be something crazy, because when you look at the top 5, it's Carlos Prates, Belal Muhammad, Michael Morales, Ian Machado Garry, Ian Machado Garry, and Jack Della Maddalena, right? The only name out of them, the only name is Michael Morales. And when you look, at Michael Morales, he's 19-0. The man is undefeated. He's got 14 knockouts on his resume, 1 submission, so he's a finisher. 15 out of 19 fights he has finished. And let me tell you this, I saw him at the weekend in Mexico City. He is absolutely gigantic. I have no clue how Michael Morales makes 170 pounds. And if it's going to be anyone else, that's not Ian Garry, that's not Ilia Topuria, that's not, I don't know, someone from another weight class. It certainly isn't going to be Khamzat Chimaev, because Khamzat Chimaev is not going down and Islam Makhachev is not going up. He just came up from 155. There's no way that's going to happen. And Khamzat versus Islam, I don't think they would fight each other anyway. So by process of elimination, it's Michael Morales. It has to be. Michael Morales is the man. That's what I'm saying right now. As I say, I saw him at the weekend. I said, have you got a fight coming up? I was commentating the fight. I needed a pee. This is the problem. You commentate 7 hours of fight straight, and I need the energy. I got to bring the energy, so I'm always pounding coffee. I wake up in the morning, I had 3 coffees. I had 2 before I went to the arena. I had 1 coffee at the start of the night. They bring me a venti Starbucks, right, which is like almost a litre of coffee for the main card. I'm dying for a piss because the caffeine makes you go to the toilet. I sprint off it after doing an interview. Who's in the toilet? Who's in the urinal standing there right next to me? The piss trough, as we call it in the UK. Michael Morales. I said, what's up, brother? How you doing? You got a fight coming up? He said, yeah, I do. A big fight. I said, oh yeah, who is it? He said, I'm not saying. Okay. So he didn't tell me. He didn't tell me. But by process of elimination, can there be anybody else? Right? I'm calling it on a hunch. Fair enough. Islam Makhachev versus Michael Morales. I don't know if that happens at the White House, okay? Islam versus Michael Morales. And by the way, regarding the White House, this week, Dana White will be announcing the 6 fights that are going to take place. So stay tuned for that one.
Actually, no. This week, I should announce the White House fight. This week, I should be announcing it.
Because obviously, as soon as he drops it, I will do a video on it and give you my thoughts on everything. But what do you think? Do you think it's going to be Michael Morales? Do you think it's Ian Garry? Do you think these two are just playing games with us all? Because that's sometimes you might do that. If people start alluding to it and getting it right, okay, sometimes they might want to throw you off track because the UFC want to make a big announcement. But let me know in the comment section, please, who do you think it's going to be? And stay tuned, because this week, obviously, we've got UFC 326. Charles Oliveira going up against Max Holloway for the BMFE, right? And we've also got the announcements from the White House. So we've got a lot going on. And hopefully on Wednesday, I'll be doing some interviews with Charles Oliveira, Kyle Bahio, Renya Derrida, Max Holloway, of course. So you know what to do. Subscribe, ring the bell, and I will see you soon. Thanks for watching. Take care. Have a great day. That's very American of me. Y'all have a great day now. Take care. Bye-bye.